As uniformed, teenage workers for Pride Incorporated completed cleanup projects in the fall of 1967 and moved on to the next job. They slapped stickers with these words all over the Cardozo-Shaw neighborhood. Organized by future D.C. Mayor Marion Barry, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, Organizer Mary Treadwell, City Planner Carol Harvey, and 20-year-old activist Rufus Catfish Mayfield, Pride Incorporated provided economic and political empowerment for black youth. For young African Americans suffering barriers to education and employment and frequently subject to police abuse, membership in Pride Incorporated signaled status as citizens worthy of equal rights and fair treatment. The program's launch in early August 1967 attracted more than 1,000 young men to sign up with the promise of an hourly wage totaling up to $56 per week. Pride workers cleaned the streets, focusing particular attention on eradicating a rampant rap population, and testified before the city council on the violent policing of black neighborhoods. They were also required to open bank accounts at the black-owned Industrial Bank of Washington on U Street. That was a powerful statement to have all of those young black and Hispanic men lined up like that to put money in the bank, wrote Barry. Originally headquartered in a former convent at North Capitol and K Streets NE, and then in the basement of Franklin P. Nash United Methodist Church at Lincoln Road and Rhode Island Avenue NE, Pride Incorporated moved to 16th and U Streets around November 1967 after securing a second grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. With $2 million in hand, the organization expanded to offer training in areas such as landscaping, appliance repair, manufacturing, construction and carpentry, and building maintenance. Participants either attended school full-time and worked with Pride Incorporated on the weekends, or attended school at night while working full-time. In the early 1970s, Pride won a contract to manage the Clifton Terrace apartments in Columbia Heights after the owner, who had been sued for 1,200 building code violations at the complex, sold the building to the non-profit Housing Development Corporation. Pride Incorporated also ran a gas station in Columbia Heights and partnered with American University, paying room and board for students who could otherwise not afford to pursue undergraduate degrees. Pride became a model for Mayor Marion Barry's Summer Youth Employment Program, which provided many D.C. residents with their first jobs and became iconic for its association with Barry's wider mission of employing black Washingtonians in government and growing the black middle class. Pride Incorporated headquarters remained at 1536 U Street in W until it closed its doors in 1981. The building is a historic landmark and is presently home to the Center for Community Change Action. This building's historic landmark designation recognizes Youth Pride Incorporated, which was located here from 1968 to 1981. Pride Incorporated was an important organization within the Black Power movement and was funded through the War on Poverty, which had started under President Lyndon B. Johnson in the 1960s. Pride adhered to the Black Power movement's tenet of self-determination and was an important institution at a time of disinvestment, unemployment, and police brutality in the district. As the first major American city to have a black majority, D.C. was a center of the Black Power movement. Pride Incorporated was established in 1967 by several Black Power activists, including Rufus Catfish Mayfield, the organization's first chairman, and future D.C. Mayor Marion Barry, who had first come to D.C. 2 years earlier to chair the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee's D.C. chapter. Pride was initially funded in August 1967 through a $300,000 grant from Secretary of Labor W. Willard Wirtz. With these funds, street dudes in green denim uniforms were hired to clean alleyways, empty lots, and streets, as well as address the city's rat infestation. Due to Pride's success over this one-month period, Secretary Wirtz awarded another grant, this time for $2 million, to extend Pride's programming for 1 year. In early 1968, Pride Incorporated moved to the building at 1536 U Street in W, following a renovation completed by Robert Nash & Associates, a black-owned architectural firm. In its new headquarters and following the April 1968 uprising, Pride began to focus on black capitalism. Thus, Pride Economic Enterprises Incorporated PEI was started with the purchase of a landscaping company, which was soon doing work for Giant Foods. PEI then expanded into gas station ownership and low-income housing. Pride would train young men and then help them find employment through these and other initiatives, although many more men were trained than employed. In addition to the above enterprises, Pride Incorporated partnered with American University on a work-study certificate program and established a health clinic and drug treatment program. Over time, starting with the Nixon administration in 1969, funding was reduced and Pride Incorporated was criticized by conservative congressional lawmakers. In 1981, Pride's federal funding was completely cut off, and the organization permanently shut down. This was in response to an embezzlement scandal related to PI Properties, a non-profit organization linked to Pride, and centered on Mary Treadwell, one of Pride's co-founders, and then executive director. Marion Barry, another Pride Incorporated co-founder, was elected mayor in 1978, following stints on the D.C. Board of Education and D.C. Council. Pride served as a template for the Summer Youth Employment Program, which Mayor Barry established during his mayorship. The building was designed by Frederick B. Pyle in the Renaissance Revival style and completed in 1920. At the time, many car dealerships and other automotive-related businesses were located in this section of D.C., particularly along nearby 14th Street. Thus, the building was constructed for the Washington, Virginia Motor Company as an automobile showroom, hence the 5 round arched windows along both U and 16th Streets. These large windows have distinctive tripartite designs in both their lower and upper sections. The main entrance is in the center arch facing U Street. The building's facade has limestone rondelle bas-reliefs with shields and garlands on the first floor and decorative terracotta panels on the second floor. The panels within the second floor's piers are specially ornamented with raised busts, urns, and filigree patterning. At the time of construction, the building was only 2 stories tall. These floors are clad in limestone. The third story, which sits above the building's classical cornice and dentils, was added in 1930 by the National Radio Institute, which moved a teaching facility into the building in 1927.